Hi, everyone. We are about to get started, but I know sometimes people need a second to get set up with GoToWebinar. So while that's happening, I want to go ahead and welcome you to JSTOR Administrator Tools 2025 Update Part 1, in which we will cover access methods and user management. This webinar is appropriate for new and experienced JSTOR administrators, including ArtStore administrators new to JSTOR. We will be discussing what you can do with the JSTOR Administrator Tools, as well as updates that we have made to them since our last update in 2024. This webinar is the first in a series of 5 JSTOR Updates webinars that will run between now and November. We have created a handout for the webinar that you can refer back to after we're done. So Nicole is sharing the link to the handout in the chat now. In it, you will find links to all the resources that we mentioned. And there's also a link to our webinars page, so you can sign up for other JSTOR annual update webinars. We'll post it again later in the webinar as well. Now let's get started with some introductions. My name is Kelsey Schaefer. I am a partner and user education lead. Our presenter today is Dana Howard, our Senior Education and Outreach Manager on the JSTOR Partner and User Education team. And we also have Nicole Green, who's with us from Partner and User Support Team to help us address questions that you might have during the webinar. Before I hand it off to Dana, I want to let you know that the presentation is being recorded. We will post the webinar recording on YouTube, and we'll also link it in the webinar handout. On YouTube, the video will include a linked table of contents in the description, so you can jump ahead to any relevant sections of the video. All attendees will also receive the recording as a GoToMeeting link and a follow-up email. And finally, after you exit the webinar today, a short survey will appear on your screen. We appreciate all feedback that you can share with us. If you don't have time to answer the survey immediately, it will also be emailed to you in about an hour. And whether you want to respond to the survey immediately or later today, I want to let you know that we hope that you can share ways that these webinars are useful to your work or ways that they could be more useful. Please let us know what topics you would like to see covered in more depth or any other thoughts you may have about the webinars. We really do read every comment and we use them to shape our future work. And now I'm going to pass the microphone over to Dana.
Thank you, Kelsey. First, we're going to tour the JSTOR admin dashboard, where you can view some quick usage information. Then we'll take a deep dive into the features of the JSTOR administrator site, necessary for an easy start to any academic year. We like to think of this as an access checkup. By also reviewing your account information, you can smooth your users' access to JSTOR from both on and off campus, as well as control the access to the JSTOR AI research tool. We'll then turn to ways to manage your users and their ability to take advantage of both the personal workspace and research tool. We will show you where you can create engagement reports. And just to note here, our detailed discussion of holdings and other reports will be during our November admin webinar on usage and holdings. We'll then walk through the handout to see where you can find links to all related resources available for you and your users. Finally, we'll have a question and answer session where Nicole, our support expert, can address questions you may have. Please keep in mind that you can enter questions as I'm presenting today by using the question box in your GoToWebinar panel. As you do so, we'll be keeping track of them for the Q&A, or Nicole or Kelsey will answer you directly. If there are any questions that are specific to your institution, we suggest that you reach out to support@jstor.org or use the chat box on the admin site. As you probably know, JSTOR, a digital library, is part of Ithaca, a not-for-profit organization with a mission to help improve access to knowledge and education. JSTOR includes ArtStore collections from archives and museums worldwide, as well as JSTOR stewardship services, helping meet collection, cataloging, and metadata needs. Then we have Portico, Deep Storage Services, and Ithaca SNR, which is our research partner to institutions of learning. Let's begin with your admin access. There are two ways to get to the JSTOR admin site. You can get to it by going to jstor.org/admin or by using the login drop-down menu from jstor.org platform, which I'll show you in a minute. If you only use the admin site and are not normally a JSTOR user, you might want to bookmark jstor.org/admin. Now I'm going to go to the platform and I'm going to turn off my camera. Find my camera app here. Turn that off so that you can see the full screen and bring back my notes. I'm going to log in right here in the upper corner of the screen and log into our demo account for education. And so it's going to say up here, education team at JSTOR. It also is going to tell me that my access is provided by 6 institutions, and that might be an embarrassment of riches, but we have a lot of different demo accounts. The education team at JSTOR, if I hover over that, there is a drop down, and I'm going to click JSTOR admin. And that takes me to this page on the admin site. The home page on the admin site is a really handy page to look at. So first, I want to point out that at the lower corner, you will see that there is a little chat box that you can use. This chat box is available to you during business hours, Eastern Standard Time in the US, but also it will show up as a little help button, a little chat button, even if we're not there. If we're not there, it's going to give you the ability to send us an email, and that gets you right in the queue to have your question answered. But if we are there, we're going to answer you live. Nicole has colleagues standing by that can answer your questions live today, right now during this webinar. The other thing I want to point out is these blue boxes. These appear periodically on the admin site that tell you of something exciting on the JSTOR platform. And in this case, it is on July 18th, we launched the AI research tool. And I'll tell you more about that during this webinar. But these little blue boxes often have a link to find out more information. And so they're handy to look at whenever you come on the site. Scrolling down, you'll see that we have some trending stats for you that are just sort of at a glance stats. You can do the past 4 weeks, the past 6 months, or the past year. And these are not like your counter stats. They're just quick stats on books usage, journal usage, open access usage, books and journals, and then access denied titles. And if you're a collection development person at your institution, this could be super handy for you to see what titles you might need to be adding to your collections. Scrolling down, because my institution has ArtStore, which I highly recommend, you can see my stats over the past year of ArtStore usage. ArtStore is now, as of this time last year, completely on the JSTOR platform, not at all in a standalone platform. And it's a wonderful source for images from around the world, from special collections, archives, scholars, and artists, as well as major museums. I have a former student who called it the world's greatest museum on her laptop, and I think that that's a good description of it. So if you don't have ArtStore yet, it might be something you would be interested in getting for your institution. Next, I'm going to click the Access Methods button. We're going to go across the screen here and look at a few of these drop downs. The first one I want to point out is IP addresses. These come first, as other access methods are dependent on them. You can see what IP address ranges we have for you by looking in a box that will appear on your screen. And you can click this copy button to copy that range of IP addresses. then it might be a very good idea to send that to the correct technology contact at your institution to make sure that you have the full range of IP addresses represented for JSTOR. Then, if we need to update that, please send the new full range to support@jstor.org, and our colleagues in support will update this box for you. And you can double check our work and make sure that we have all of the ranges available to you for your users. The next button is proxies. I want to point out that both proxies, single sign-on, and SAML, some may know this as shibboleth, here across the top are all valuable for smoothing user access, and you can use all of these methods available to you at your institution. So if you'd like your institutional login to be discoverable to your users, any and all of these methods can make that possible. First, you'll need to send us your proxy server IP address, and you can actually do that self-serve in the box here. This proxy link will also be used to create a remote access URL on the item page. I'll show you how this benefits the user experience in just a minute. Updating the proxy is something that you yourself can do here on the site, but we've given you some cues. If you're using Easy Proxy, we have a recommended setup linked here. And if you'd like a quick view of what the proxy formats look like, this box here on the side can be very helpful to reference. The other thing we've done is beneath the proxy server URL space, we have given you a reminder to use HTTPS when entering your proxy URL for us. So you'd enter that and you would click Save. And next, single sign-on. We have two options for single sign-on, Microsoft and Google. And I'm going to scroll down here a minute so that you can see you can add as many domains as necessary for your institution, or you can choose not participating if that's relevant for your institution. You can also edit any that need to be edited, may have been added and are incorrect. And again, we have examples for you in the sidebar and links to this information on your support page. And I'm going to skip LMS for now, but then go to SAML. Again, you may know this as shibboleth. This is a secure remote access method used by some institutions for authentication. Please take a look at the support page if you'd like to use SAML to ensure that your institution belongs to one of the federations we support. Once you've done that, follow the instructions on the support site to set this up. Note that if your institution uses Person Entitlement, or your institution uses SAML for alumni subscriptions, please contact JSTOR support for help with setting that up. So now that we've covered these three important ways to ensure user access, I'm going to go back to LMS, which is another way that you can do this if you have the Canvas LMS at your institution. You can integrate that with JSTOR. The Canvas LMS integration allows your instructors to add a link to JSTOR's homepage to the Canvas course navigation for seamless access to content your institution subscribes to. When users follow this link from their Canvas site, they'll be automatically authenticated without additional login requirements. You can see instructions here for what information is needed to be copied, and let me scroll down, and passed on to the Canvas admin site, as well as information that you must retrieve from Canvas. We also have a step-by-step guide linked right here at the bottom of the page to help you do this, because it involves sort of working with both platforms. Now, I'm going to take you for a second to the Referring URL tab. referring URL is not a preferred method for access, but if you are using it, we want you to make sure that it is password protected. So double check and make sure that it is still password protected for this year if you are using it. Preferred methods include proxies, single sign-on, and SAML. And then remote username and password is one that is only used for a few institutions who cannot get on JSTOR any other way. So for most of us, we won't use that remote username and password. Okay, let me take you back to the slide deck for a minute, because now that you've seen where and how you can update your user access methods, let me show you the way this helps your users. Those trying to access JSTOR content will see this message at the top of the JSTOR screen when they are not authenticated through your institution. Having your institution, I'm having trouble saying that word today, having your institution listed under the login through your library link helps them find you so they can log in. This is one reason why setting up your proxies, SAML, and single sign-on is so helpful for your users. After they log in through your institution, they can make a personal account linked seamlessly to your institution. And I'll cover that in a few minutes when we discuss user management. Another benefit of having these methods and keeping them up to date is the remote access URL that you will find on the item page. Using this link when sharing the item makes for smoother access for the person getting the link. For example, say a faculty member copies the remote access URL from an article that they find on JSTOR and puts it in their syllabus or on their LMS. A student, when they click on that link, can get seamless access to JSTOR through that remote access URL. Before we go back to the site and look at account information, I want to tell you about a new tool available on the JSTOR platform that you as an administrator have some control over through that account information page that we're going to go over in a minute. This is the AI research tool. As of July, all users at JSTOR subscribing institutions have access to this tool. I'm going to share a little bit about the AI research tool now before I show you how you can manage institution-wide access. This tool was enabled last month to be available for all personal account holders at your institution. The JSTOR AI research tool shows up on the item page for journal articles, book chapters, and research reports on JSTOR. Users with personal accounts authenticated through your institution can engage with it to find out more about what is in the article. For each answer, the tool provides citations and direct links to the place in the text where it found content that contributes to the answer. This tool works only within the content the user has access to within JSTOR. The tool is designed to support a researcher's existing content discovery workflow by helping them get to the relevant content in an item and then also discover more relevant items. Users can turn it off at the individual level when they don't want to engage with it. And you see on this slide that we're showing you where you can toggle it on and off. And also here's where you can get a link to exactly where in the document this answer came up for the tool. The personal JSTOR account is key for your users to get access to this at your institution. So they have to be logged into a personal account linked to your institution in order to even see it. In a minute, we'll cover user management, which includes personal accounts. But first, let's explore account information as a whole. taking you back to the platform. So I'm going down a tab to account information here in the sidebar. And the first thing that you'll see is the research tool. And as you can see, it is enabled for my institution. We're going to go through each of these sections, and I'll let you know how they can help you and your users. The research tool is the first item on this page. Although your users can turn it on and off themselves, you can globally disable it for your institution. If you choose to disable this, this will be applied to all accounts, so all of your users, faculty and students. By allowing it to remain enabled, you give individuals the ability to toggle it on and off as they explore an item. Please note that if the tool is disabled for your institution, users will not even see this option to use the research tool. In addition, if a user has access to JSTOR through multiple institutions, they may still retain access to the tool through another institution. To learn more about the AI research tool, please follow the link to our information on it in your handout under other resources. I want to point out also that we did a webinar 2 weeks ago where we clearly laid out how the tool works and what guardrails are in place within the experience. This is available to on our JSTOR YouTube channel, also linked under other resources in the handout. The next thing I want to discuss is branding. This is where you can check and see that we have your institution's branding. If you don't see your logo or other form of branding, your users will only see the institution's name at the top of any page on JSTOR. Throughout the admin site, you'll see these little eye buttons, which I love. And I'm going to use this button to show you on the support page what that kind of branding looks like. So right now, if I scroll down, we have 2 different versions, and as you can see, we've given you all of the branding request submissions, so you would just need to submit the format appropriate for whatever kind of branding you want to do at support@jstor.org, and our colleagues will add that to your instance of JSTOR. So here is the one for Harvard Library as an example, and here is one for Coastline Online Library as an example. So 2 different formats of this. The branding is handy because it shows up at the top of the page and it helps the users understand what they're seeing, that they're actually authenticated through your institution. And it helps them know that they're going to get to the content that you have subscribed to for them. Open URLs are also called link resolvers, and this allows JSTOR to link to your discovery service. If you need to set this up, you first need to set up the open URL with your discovery service provider. Then you'll share that link to JSTOR support by sending it again to support@jstor.org, and we'll finish that setup for you. At the bottom of the screen, you see sushi harvesting information. If you need more details about this, you can follow the information screen to the support article. It's right here, that little information button. SUSHI stands for Standardized Usage Statistic Harvesting Initiative. So let's go back to the slides. Before we go on into user management and the personal accounts, let me take a minute to put changes on JSTOR into some perspective. You may not be aware that this is a big year for JSTOR. We are now 30. Over the past 30 years, JSTOR has evolved from a journal repository, hence the name JSTOR, to a broadly resourced platform for teaching and learning, all while constantly adding more and more great content in a variety of formats. We make changes to JSTOR, to the platform, based on a number of factors, including shifts in the library landscape and what we're hearing from our users. One change that we implemented a few years ago is the personal JSTOR account, which improves user access and gives users more tools with which to do their work. Many longtime JSTOR users know that their access is provided by the institution that they are currently affiliated with, but not everyone is aware that you can create a JSTOR account, which we call the personal account or personal JSTOR account. This account streamlines access for users by ensuring that the link to their institution is maintained for them 365 days, no matter where they are logging in from and what device they are logging in from. And this pairing of the personal and the institutional ensures that they are getting the content their institution subscribes to. But we're not just highlighting the personal JSTOR account because it improves access. Since the content on JSTOR grows each year, tools with which researchers can manage their discovery of that content have become valuable time savers. These tools are designed to make discovering, understanding, gathering, and sharing content possible through the personal account. We developed these tools because there is so much great content on JSTOR. We wanted to help users discover exactly what they need when they need it. As I mentioned before, the research tool can help students understand how a given item relates to their research question. The workspace is designed to help users avoid having multiple tabs open or downloading content only to lose track of it. It also makes preparing a presentation, sharing research, and collaborating easier. We will cover working with these tools along with other JSTOR platform innovations in the next 3 webinars in this series, those focused on research and working with images on JSTOR. Admins at your institution can generate robust engagement reports, helping you understand how users with personal accounts are working on the JSTOR platform with these tools. Since the Workspace and AI Research Tool are resources that teaching librarians may want other faculty and students to engage with, having personal account usage in the engagement report gives you the data to see how much and how deeply those tools are being used, alongside data on browsing and searching and downloading. In a minute, I will take you back to the admin site to cover user management. I'll also show you where to access all report types, but I wanted to introduce our newest engagement report in the context of the personal user account before showing you how to manage users and generate an engagement report. In short, you as an administrator at your institution can see de-identified personal account usage, searching and browsing activity, and interactions on the item page, including the use of citations. Also, you can see ways the Workspace and Research tool are being used. So, if, for example, you have put energy into promoting the usage of personal accounts, you will be able to gather evidence of the number of personal accounts used in a given time frame. And since we know that these accounts show a higher level of engagement, you will be able to see the fruits of your labor in usage. If you've taught a unit on the value of Workspace or Research tool, you can watch the related numbers change as students begin to use these tools. JSTOR users can create their own personal JSTOR accounts, and they will be prompted to once they've authenticated through your institution. And if you already have a personal account, it will pair to your institution once you log in through your institution. This is helpful for visiting scholars and adjuncts, as well as students moving from one school to another, or those unaffiliated JPass users who return to academia. For the security of all users, we do adhere to SOC 2 information security standards and undergo rigorous external SOC 2 audits. For those of you in secondary school settings, do know that the personal accounts are not available to those under the age of 16 in accordance with our privacy policies. As I said, creating a JSTOR account is a self-service process that anyone can do, but it's also possible for JSTOR admins to create accounts for users. For example, if you're going into a class to do a presentation on using JSTOR, and it would save time for the entire class to already have personal accounts so they can practice using Workspace or research tool with you there to guide them, you as the JSTOR admin could easily add all of those email addresses assigned to that class at once. I'll show you how to do that now. And here we go, user management. So what you're seeing here are the list of my users that are already added. If I'd like to add more users, I can do it with this button. If I want to receive an email that has a list of all my users, I can click on this button. This will only give me the email addresses. It will not give me the names of those users. So the way that you would add users, if you can just type in individual email addresses, or you can copy and paste a comma delimited list of email addresses, and then you would just click this plus button, and it would populate them into this box, and then you would just click the submit button. The admin permissions button is down here, and we do not recommend you using that at all globally. People with admin privileges, like you probably have if you're watching this webinar, that is specific to your institution, and you would work with our support specialist or someone who is already an admin at your institution to get that. So then it would populate this list, and as you can see, these people are all active, but this person here has been invited and has not yet accepted my invitation. I'm going to make the chat box smaller so that you can see. And now I want to show you, if I click these three little dots on the side, I can extend access, expire access, grant admin privileges, or resend the invitation. And in this case, this person's been invited, and I could resend the invitation if they're saying, I don't see it in my email, right? The email that they do get, you can see a preview of that email up here at the top of the page. I've also have it here on my screen. And it basically sort of tells them how they would complete their registration and lets them know their privacy rights. If I go back to the admin page here, that's basically all it takes to create these accounts. Now, there's a couple of nice features here. Once you've added users, of course, they need to accept the invitation, and that invitation is good for 30 days before you need to renew that. If you have a list of users to add and you aren't sure if some of these people might already have JSTOR accounts, do not worry about that. Just go ahead and input them, because the system actually sorts out. If there's an existing account, they won't receive an email. The system will know that they have an existing account. And again, if you'd like to see what users' invitations look like, I did show you that one just briefly on the screen for a minute, but you can click the preview the emails. Now let's turn to the engagement report. So I'm going to skip holdings and ALMA linking, and ALMA linking has to do with just books, and go to reports here. Not covering these reports until our webinar in November, but creating an engagement report is a similar workflow to creating those other reports. So I'll go through the workflow of creating an engagement report. And this will show me what kind of engagement I'm having at my institution. I'm clicking here, Create Report, and I'm going to select the report. And I can choose the format. I can choose one time or scheduled, and I can schedule frequency at monthly, and it can give me either the previous month or the previous 12 months. And I could actually change the email address. If this email address is not the one I want it to send me a monthly update on my engagement report, I can add a different one if I'd like. And then I click Continue, and it asks me if I'm sure. And then I click Submit. And so that is showing up as my scheduled reports. You can see when I was practicing the other day. And then I also have a report history tab. So both of these reports. So the engagement report is pretty granular, and let me show you what that looks like. It gives you usage of the AI research tool. That would be of anyone who has a personal collection. And more globally, usage of browsing and other item level usage, then search usage. The user accounts are those personal accounts, so you can keep tabs on how many personal accounts you have, and then also workspace. Now, I'm going to take you to the page on the support page, and we do have a link to this in your handout, where you can see more clearly the definition of each of these actions in the report metrics. And there is a link in your handout to this, but this might be a little bit easier to absorb than my sample in my slide deck. Now, I want to do one more thing about the user experience. And in order to show you that, I'm going to click here on my trusty J. This is how you can get back to the JSTOR platform from anywhere. First, I want to point out that any user can get to the support site here. And on the support site, this is your admin corner of the support pages. We do have tutorials, video tutorials linked down here. And here we have linked to lesson plans and other teaching resources, including LibGuides, down here on the support page. And again, I'm going to use my trusty J to get back to the platform because I want to show you an update to the user experience right here. Remember, we came here to get to the admin page, but we skipped this My Account. So all your users with personal accounts do have this page. It is new just in the last couple of months, and it is the beginning of giving users more visibility into what they're doing on the platform. Their access plan is linked here, and I think this is really handy. As I mentioned, I have several sort of sample universities since I am doing a demo account, but it tells me when my access expires, and with great relief, my JSTOR access doesn't expire till 2028. And also I can, if I need to access through another institution, I can find that there if I am authenticated through there. And then here are my other links. Because your personal account is your admin login, you also have a link that takes you right to the admin site. So at this point, I want to invite my colleagues to turn on their cameras, and I will turn on mine so that we can address questions.
All right. Thanks so much for that, Dana. And so we've got our cameras back on, and I am going to ask some questions that have been coming in the Q&A to Dana and Nicole. Please feel free to keep adding in questions. We will keep trying to juggle them. We're going to be looking for common themes. So we've got some emerging already that I'm excited to answer. If you are leaving the webinar at this point, I just want to have another reminder we have that really brief 3-question survey that's going to pop up. Your specific comments are really helpful for us in determining the content for future webinars. So please enter as much detail as you can. If there are questions that we can't get to today, or if there's things that, again, are becoming themes, we are going to add a frequently asked question in the handout, which we will put again into the chat. And the link to that handout will also be in the follow-up email. You can always reach out directly to support@jstor.org at any time with any questions. And I just want to shout out our incredible support colleagues here. Our support team are our colleagues. We work with them all the time. They're a real team with incredible people, not a bot. So reach out to support@jstor.org at any time. All right, we've got some great questions. So one thing And Dana, I think this would be a good one for you. We have some questions from people who were following along and looked at their institution's active users. And they're seeing a lot of email addresses that aren't their institution's domain. Should they be concerned about this? Or where is that coming from? How is that happening?
They are authenticated through the institution. So the person would be authenticated through the institution and then creating their account through that institution. Nicole, is that a concern for admins?
I would say it's not a concern. It doesn't raise any red flags to me. Many users create personal accounts with their personal email addresses, which may be why you don't recognize those, versus their institutional email. If you'd like, you're welcome to send support a list of your most recent up-to-date IP addresses, and that's the best way to ensure that no one is on campus and using your database that shouldn't be. So as long as that is up to date, I see no reason for concern there.
The other thing is, if you do find someone that you think should not, that you know should not be part of your institution, you can expire their access.
Yeah, but yeah, my guess is that it's a lot of people who have been creating personal accounts with their personal email address. Another theme that's emerging from the questions is about the engagement report and the AI research tool. And so as an admin, can you see who is using the AI research tool and how they are using it?
No, you have de-identified information in the report, but you don't know which accounts are using the tool at which time.
We have like an aggregate, yeah.
Yeah, so when you see the report, let me get back to that slide. When you see the report, this is what you see. You don't know who it is who is doing these actions, but you know that these are user accounts. These are personal accounts, but you don't know who they are. So those two bits of information you have, where you have the user accounts and then you have the engagement report, those two pieces aren't connected for you. Am I saying that correctly, Kelsey?
Yes. I think so. Okay. Looking at some more. Nicole, was there anything that stood out to you that you wanted to cover right now during the live portion that we haven't gotten to yet?
I saw someone ask if there's a way to quickly see all of the user accounts that have admin privileges, and there is. If you go into JSTOR Admin under the User Management tab, you can actually see everyone that has an admin role. There is a specific column that says role, and if they're an admin, it will say admin, and if they're not, it will just have 2 dashes. So it's a really quick and easy way to find that out. And you can also invite people to become an admin through the user management portal as well, which can be very handy.
And then I would add, if you have a long list of users, you can click the receive the user list, and that will come out as a spreadsheet that you can sort however you need to.
I also see a question about sort of inheriting admin responsibilities from someone that has left. And this is something that's very common. And if you find yourself in this situation where you have just started in a position or you have just become the arbiter of your JSTOR access, you're always welcome to reach out to support@jstor.org, and we can get you started with all the information that you need. We can get you in touch with your account owner. We can tell you what access methods you have on file, how your users can most quickly and easily access JSTOR, and get you started with your own admin account and all the information you need to know to use that admin account.
And I'm also just navigating while you're speaking, Nicole, to the support page for new administrators as well. And you can, from the support page, you can use the chat to speak to one of our colleagues on support if you have a question after reading through this. But as many of you know, we got a lot of thumbs up when we shouted out to the support team. We do have a very engaged support team who wants to, they're all JSTOR users themselves and they want to help everybody else.
There's a question that I think is a really good one that I think we can talk through, which is, can a walk-in user create an account while on campus? So for example, there's people that maybe visit the campus and then are physically on campus. Could they, being physically on campus, then use JSTOR resources? And I want to say this kind of relates to a bunch of questions that we have coming in, which are really excellent questions, but they are about very specific access methods that are specific to your institution. And I bring that up because access is really complicated. It's like complicated at every individual school. It's complicated for us to then link up to the institution, and everybody does it slightly differently. Like there's themes, especially between different school types, but it is a huge part of what support team does is help to support and manage and troubleshoot that access. So I do want to kind of zoom out. I do encourage you, if you have questions, even if you're like, I'm not sure, I just kind of want to think about this with somebody, support@jstor.org is happy to walk you through those things, especially if we're not answering your question right now in the comment. We will follow up if we can. Feel free to reach out. So all that to say, my understanding of this complicated thing is that some magic happens when you log into I'm going to give an example from higher ed institution, which is EduRoam. Right. So if you're on EduRoam and you're authenticating in that way, and perhaps even using like a couple different methods to get in, then you are linked to your institution. But of course, like if I am visiting a campus, I can't get on EduRoam. I can't link to my institution in that secure way. And we are connecting to the secure link to the institution, not just a walk-on user. So a walk-on person walking onto campus is not going to be able to use your JSTOR resources unless they make a personal account, in which case they would have access to our free open content that's available on JSTOR. There's a long answer. Nicole and Dana, can you add anything you want to add there?
Yeah, I would say just to echo your statement about reaching out to us for individual access questions. Walk-in users sort of vary depending on the access method too. So it also depends on how your account is set up, the access methods that you have on file. So it would be very difficult to answer it without that information. So you're welcome to reach out to us. We have a very quick turnaround time, and my colleagues are wonderful and so speedy and excellent at their jobs. And so we'd love to help you with that. And we can tell you specifically about your walk-in user situation for your account.
Exactly. And one final thing, our walk-in users are addressed in our robust terms and conditions of use. So if you want more information, I am putting our terms in the chat right now too.
When we're sure we've covered that, I want to pivot us to usage of the AI research tool.
Yeah.
So I want to point out that the webinar that you're conducting for us in just a few weeks, I think it's August 28th. No,
that's right. It is the 28th at 1 p.m. Eastern. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, is our Research 1. We're doing Research 1 and Research 2 this year. And Research on JSTOR 1 is you're going to be discussing methods for teaching with the research tool. Is that correct, Kelsey?
No, we covered teaching with the research tool in our research tool specific webinar, and that was in July, but the link to that is on our webinars page, and it's also on our YouTube channel. The research intro to using JSTOR for research webinar in a couple weeks is a kind of bigger picture looking at a bunch of different things. So we don't have the time at that one to cover teaching with the AI research tool, but we are interested in the topic. We want to do more on it, but we did cover that more specifically in the July webinar.
Yeah, and I do invite people to watch the recording of the July webinar, because I think you did do a good job, not just giving tips for familiarizing students with it, but also explaining what the guardrails are, which I thought was reassuring, I think, because people might be a little bit confused about AI and how it applies to JSTOR.
Yeah. Nicole, here's a question for you. Do we need to contact support to update our open URL?
Yes, you can contact support to update that open URL. We'll be happy to do that for you.
If you know, the AI research tool and all of the different pieces of it are obviously new. We just rolled it out to everybody in July. So we are getting a lot of questions about turning the AI research tool on and off for all users. We also are getting questions about turning it off for groups of users, or being able to test it while also turning it off for all users. At this time, the features that we have available, the way that we have it set up is that you can turn it off globally for all users at your institution, or you can have it on, and then individual users can turn it on or off. And the way that you can turn it, you as the admin can turn it off for your institution, is on Dana's screen right now. So you have a checkbox, which is to enable, and if you uncheck it, it disables it for everybody at your institution. We used to have a method to have people kind of test it before for admin to be able to test it while also having it off for their institution. We're getting a lot of questions about that in the chat right now, and it's great to hear that that is something that people are still interested in. So we're going to take that back to the team and work on that. And if you are still interested in that after the webinar, please get in touch at support@jstor.org. And we will see if we can work something out. I can't guarantee it, but it's great to know that people are thinking about that and wondering about that. And we will see what we can do to see if we can get it so that people can, admin or other librarians can test it without turning it on for everybody. Dana, oh, sorry, go ahead, Nicole.
I'm sharing that research tool webinar recording in the chat now because we had a few questions about that.
We do have a question here about ArtStore, and the ArtStore content is now included on JSTOR, and you can have reports on usage of your ArtStore collections on JSTOR, but there's not like a separate ArtStore admin any longer. It is folded in with this admin. So I just want to point that out to the folks who are wondering about where their ArtStore collections usage stats are and where their ArtStore holdings are.
And one last point about thanks for that, Dana. One last point about the AI research tool and turning it on and off. If you are not seeing it in the admin portal, then you are not, that you can check with support to see who's listed as an admin at your institution, such that they are, you know, who that box is linked to. If you are not seeing it, it means that that privilege is not linked to your account.
I also see a question about removing an admin that's no longer at the institution. There isn't a way for you to expire their admin access on your end in the user management section of JSTOR admin, but you can reach out to us at support@jstor.org and we can make sure to retire any of the admin privileges for anyone that it would be appropriate to do that for.
One of the things I didn't mention in this webinar, and I'm seeing some questions about the research tool and helping faculty understand how it works on JSTOR. We didn't mention it in the webinar, but there is, when a student uses the research tool, there is a citation link that they can share with the faculty member to show where they got their information on the article that they are citing. So not only a link to the item, the article, book chapter, research report, but also a link to the AI tool's response to a question a student may have asked it about that item. And remember, that only works within JSTOR. It's not pulling from anything outside of JSTOR.
That's right. We built it in collaboration with our community and really thinking especially about like information literacy and other ways that we could build in ways for it to be like a useful resource that still maintains JSTOR values. So the site, you can cite the research tool, shows you citations. I know that everybody has different relationships to AI and different reactions to it at the institutional level, at the individual level. And so we have a lot of information on our site so that you can see the different features.
And in your handout, there is a link to our AI research tool promotional toolkit, which you may want to review to see if it's something that you would want to share with your teaching colleagues.
Mm-hmm. We can also add a link to the AI webinar to this handout as well.
I also want to clarify, if you were to need an admin's privileges removed because they're no longer at the institution, those privileges would just be removed, but their personal JSTOR account would remain intact. We wouldn't be deleting their account on their behalf. I saw some questions.
Mm-hmm.
We've had some really great questions, Kelsey.
We've got great questions, and I just, we're wrapping up, and so I want to. There are a lot of questions that we tried to cover in the chat. We tried to cover verbally. If you are feeling like we didn't cover what you're asking, or you have something specific, you know what I'm going to say, which is follow up and support at JSTOR.org. I will be a broken record about this, but I promise we will cover it. Don't hesitate to reach out.
I wish we were all in the same building. We could go give the support team candy right now for all their help during this webinar.
Yeah. Great. Okay, I think what's left is mostly those specific questions. So I think that we can wrap up. Unless there's anything, Nicole and Dana, that you guys are seeing that we need to cover before we do so.
No, I just want to thank everyone for the great questions. There are a few of you that I've said that I'll follow up individually with, and everyone that we have people on chat right now in support, and I will be on chat in a few minutes. So any follow-up questions, as Kelsey and Dana have said, please feel free to reach out. We love getting questions. So.
And don't forget the survey. The survey helps us build the content year over year. So we appreciate that.
Thanks, everyone.